The entire earth had become so corrupt to the point where God decided he had to destroy it by flooding the earth, completely wiping out and annihilating everyone on the planet.
Why have thou forsaken me?
He quickly roamed the world, hunting and trapping one male and female animal of every kind from all over the planet. Noah, as dedicated as he was, even donned scuba gear and went on a great underwater adventure under the oceans to catch every sea creature to ever exist. You see, to make it rain for 40 days and 40 nights, God was collecting 40 days and 40 nights worth of water to pour down and flood the earth with. If you're having a hard time believing that Noah both accomplished building the world's largest, most indestructible ship in the world, while roaming the entire planet to catch every animal to ever exist, the answer is yes. Yes, he did. Because if you follow your goals, you can accomplish anything. Noah, being the righteous man he is, first asked God if his decision was final, asking if he could help warn humanity to repent now. God would let out a long, annoyed, and exasperated sigh. He'd agree to Noah's request. God gave Noah 48 hours to convince the entire human race to turn their life over to the Creator. In fact, the Lord was so predestined on Noah's inability to convince anyone to turn their life over to God, that the Holy Creator even told this righteous man that if Noah knew any other sinless beings, then they would be welcomed aboard the ark as well. God, of course, already knew they weren't going to change their stubborn and wicked ways, and immediately began his plan to flood the earth and remove all sin from the planet. When Noah told society they needed to atone for their sins and seek forgiveness, or God would perish them all, they all took that as a threat and threatened Noah instead. When Noah asked pedestrian passers-by how cool God was, many of them responded by claiming that Ramses was cooler. God told Noah not to worry. Once the floods began, God would show the world how cool he really was. God told Noah he was wasting his time and that it wasn't going to work. Noah still had hope. He still wanted to save humanity before it was too late. Unfortunately, it wasn't hope they all needed. It was faith. One pedestrian even had the nerve to ask Noah which God he was referring to. Noah's wife believed a shipwright was a better career choice for her husband, rather than being a missionary for God. His son, who was Noah's biggest support, spread the word to all his friends at school. In fact, no schoolwork was done that day. He interrupted all the classrooms, informing everyone that the end was nigh. Some classes, he forgot to mention the part about turning their life over to God, but he did yell at the kindergarten class to panic and run for their lives. Noah's son returned home with a rolled-up scroll about him being suspended for spreading disinformation at school. The school board contacted the rulers of the world and informed the people that they had nothing to worry about. God's wrath was fact-checked by independent fact-checkers and was flagged as false information. Nothing would stop Noah from saving grace. He organized a free barbecue in his big backyard. Noah sent out invitations to all his relatives. An ultimatum, of course, offering wheat, barley, figs, grapes, olives, pomegranates, dates, and corn on the cob for any sinner who were ready to turn their lives over to God or drown to death in a disastrously cataclysm by his might. Truth be told, Noah was a descendant of Adam. In fact, Adam and Eve did show up to Noah's invitation, only to be kicked out for not wearing any clothes. What did they think this was? Some weird nude swingers orgy or something? Adam really did have nothing to be ashamed of. No shirt, no shoes, no corn on the cob. They were cast out of Noah's barbecue, never to return. It wasn't long before the remainder of the family were filled in with the details about how they all pissed off God, and the holy deity was going to flood the earth and put an end to all their sin. Noah announced they could all be saved if they just turn their life over to the Lord and seek forgiveness. Noah, being the righteous, brave man he is, warns them once again, one last time, enough was enough, and that this was their final chance to repent to the Lord, now, immediately, and always, or feel the wrathfulness of God. Many of his own family members sided with the community and still didn't take him seriously. None of them believed him. Some even tried recommending him to a mental health facility, urging him to seek psychiatric help, concerned that what Noah's been tasked to do by the Holy Creator may be signs of schizophrenia. Noah thought they had faith in him. He was wrong. They laughed at him, made fun of him all night. In fact, all night, they called Noah all sorts of things. A buzzkill. A right-winged extremist. Grandma even called Noah God's little bitch. Many family members left, accusing Noah of ruining their dinner. Some people even tried calling on Rome to issue an arrest warrant for Noah, a place where the death penalty, by crucifixion, is legal. Noah carefully selected which family members would now be welcomed aboard the ark. Sorry, Grandma, you're not invited. He didn't need their ridicule and judgment. It was God who would judge them. Each and every one of them just denied having any sin and reminded Noah that they were just trying to have a fun little family get-together.
If you do not seek forgiveness, you are all going to die.
Aunt Deborah looks at her husband, Uncle Naphtali, and complains to him that Noah just threatened her, to which Uncle Naphtali walks up to Noah and punches him in the mouth. Aunt Deborah and Uncle Naphtali leave. The rest of the remaining family look at Noah, who's fallen to the ground, and shake their head at him. They all leave, one by one, except for his wife, son, and daughter. They lived there. Where else would they go? Noah lays on the ground, feeling his fat lip while pondering. Why was Noah chosen for this mission? Was he really as righteous as he thought he was? He couldn't influence or encourage a single person to turn their life over to the Lord. What did they have to lose? He knew exactly what. Their lives. Noah was blessed to know that his wife, son, and daughter still had faith. He turns and looks over to his family.
You do believe me, right?
Noah asks. His wife, son, and daughter all awkwardly stare at the ground. Noah's son tilts his head up and says what needs to be said.
I believe you, Dad.
Noah is so relieved to have heard that. He gives his son a hug.
You didn't let me finish.
Noah lets go of his son and gives him a puzzled look.
No offense, but you kind of just yelled at everyone tonight. Let God do what is intended. By determining people's fate, you're playing God. It's not cool.
Playing God? I'm saving their lives from eternal damnation!
Noah barks. He's fed up. He doesn't want the world to come to this. Now everyone was going to die under the wrath of God, and there was nothing Noah could do to stop it. He apologizes for yelling and claims he's just stressed. Noah encourages his family to get some sleep. Noah prays at his bedside that his family will make the right decision and join him on board the ark at the first sign of rainfall. Tick. Tock. Tomorrow morning was their final day before the storm, and the floods couldn't come soon enough. When the sun rose the final morning before the flood, Noah's coffee was interrupted by two Mesopotamian guards banging their fists on his door, ordering Noah and his son to step out of the house. They asked Noah who was going to clean up the excessive amounts of fecal matter left behind by these animals. Noah responded by claiming that God was going to clean it, referring to the upcoming floods, of course. These guards continued to bring up a number of complaints brought forth by citizens from the community. Noah was told to consider himself lucky that he got the proper permits to build the ark. People had started to complain that the ark's massive size was overshadowing the town, causing all of their wheats and crops to wither and die. It was more than just their wheats and crops that were meant to die. It was all of them. Noah and his son were accused of fear-mongering. They were charged with a number of misdemeanors, including a hoax intended to cause public fear, along with a conspiracy fine, and were ordered to cease and desist all claims that God was angry and was going to flood the earth. The guards slapped a public health violation on top of his fines. They told Noah and his son that if they came back with another complaint, he would be in cuffs, where he'd spend his time during these floods, not on the ark, but locked in a dark, damp dungeon. After this was over, the Lord would promise a rainbow. This would be the sign of the covenant between God and the earth. If everyone was dead, he wouldn't have to do this again. Noah spent most of the day emptying his home and placing his and his family's possessions onto the ship. The bedrooms he built on the ark were even better acquainted than the ones he had at his stone-structured home. To even further prevent his wife and kids from going back to the house instead of joining him on the ark, he sold the house to great-uncle Jehudah for 5 silver coins. Noah looks into windows of the homes nearby. In one home, he sees a father reading his daughter a good-night story. Noah is concerned that his family weren't coming. He'd never be able to tuck his daughter into bed and wish her a good night ever again. He is unsure if they have given up on him, but he would not give up on them. A breeze fills the air, a slight chill. Suddenly, Noah sees two familiar faces from afar, heading towards the ship. They wore short, flashy, pink and purple tunics with matching glittery high heels. They had a lot of volume in their hair and a lot of makeup caked on their face.
Now, there's something I haven't seen since before my marriage. Mesopotamian prostitutes.
Noah realizes
Wait, those aren't prostitutes!
his wife and daughter were gone all day. They were booking appointments for hair and nails, applying makeup and choosing between stolas and chitons for the occasion, recommending different colors of outfits and asking each other if one or the other made them look fat. It's his wife and daughter, looking fab for the occasion. Noah runs down the boardwalk, ecstatic to see that his family has not lost faith. He gives them a hug, crying on their shoulders about how happy he is to see them. He takes his wife's hand as he guides her and his daughter up the boardwalk, onto the ark. His wife and daughter complain about the house being empty. They complain about Uncle Yehuda, answering the door in his bathrobe, fully exposed, asking if they were Mesopotamian prostitutes. Noah claims audacity, and says he would never confuse them for something as sinful as that. As they make their way onto the ship, his wife gives subtle nods to Noah that she's fishing for a compliment with the way she looks. Noah lets go of his wife and suddenly realizes,
It's almost midnight! My son! Where's my son?
Noah panics. He paces around frantically. Has his son lost his faith? If that were the case, Noah was ready to lose his marbles. He refuses to believe his son would rather die of sin than be on the ark with his family. In fact, he won't allow it. Noah's son was a popular kid at school. He even served as quarterback for his high school harpastum team. He was out with his friends, doing only God knows what. He abandons his wife and daughter's side as he walks back down the wooden plank in a desperate plea to look for his son. Noah steps off the boardwalk, onto the earth's surface. He feels the ground on his feet. One last time, the breeze gets chillier. An unusual temperature drop fills the air. He folds his arms to his chest to keep himself warm. Noah was hoping his son wasn't out partying with that Seth kid. He was a bad influence. Noah believed that kid was smoking pot, amongst other degenerate behavior, a sin the world would soon be rid of. Just as Noah begins to walk away from the ship, he hears his son yell down to him,
Dad! Up here!
Noah turns around and tilts his head up and sees his son, on board the ark, waving at him.
What in the world?
Noah is slightly confused. He's unsure when or how his son had gotten back onto the boat. Nonetheless, he is grateful that his family is safely aboard the ark.
What are you doing?
His son yells as Noah walks back up the wooden plank, back onto the massive ship.
Looking for you. I got worried.
His father replies.
Well, it took me a while to say goodbye to my friends, but I've been here for hours. This ship is enormous.
His son explains.
Well, it ought to be. It has 2 of every animal in the entire world on it. Anyways, next time, let me know you're here so I'm not worried sick.
Dad, there's not going to be a next time. The world's ending, remember?
He reminds his father of the inevitable.
First of all, the world is not ending. It'll still be here. It's just ending for everyone else.
Noah explains to his son. He looks over to his wife and daughter to make sure they understood too.
With all due respect, sir, I know you spent a lot of time setting up natural habitats for each animal to live in throughout the ark, but can we move the room with the sandy desert somewhere else? I can move the scorpions and armadillos, but
Noah interrupts his son mid-sentence.
What do you mean, move the desert animals? Do you know how long it took me to catch that roadrunner? Not even disguising myself as a coyote worked. I smashed into 5 walls and fell off a cliff chasing that thing. I almost died.
But I want to turn a room into a gymnasium to play my harpastum games in,
His son requests.
Harpastum is a dangerous sport, son. You need people to play that with, and those people typically end up hurt. I'll tell you what, son. Harpastum is your passion, and I want you to keep that passion. If we can make the game a little less violent, I'll consider moving some of the animals somewhere else so you and I can play a game of Harpastum with your old man. You know, I used to play the game when I was around your age.
Noah's son interrupts his father.
Oh, come on, Dad. I'd play against you, but you're like 500 years old.
Noah's son rudely remarks.
I'm 47!
Noah yells. The stress of it all may have given Noah a wrinkle or two along the process.
You can play harpustum in a real gymnasium by the end of the week. The floods will drought as soon as everyone else is dead.
Noah assures his son and the rest of the family that the ark is just a safe space for them. They wouldn't be on the ark for very long. The sky gets darker. No stars come out tonight. The moon is nowhere to be found. Another sudden breeze gives Noah a chill. The weather begins giving indication that a storm was brewing. It was midnight, the morning of the floods. Thunder erupts. The winds pick up. This was a sign that God would not wait much longer. A final warning to the world, to which they just ignored. He sees homes close their blinds or curtains. It's not like they've never seen a thunderstorm before. The 5-day forecast called for rain anyways. Noah's beautiful wife and daughter complain that the rain will ruin their new hairstyles. They run away into the cabin doors of the ship, nearly falling several times in their high heels, as a loud clap of thunder erupts from the sky behind them. Noah and his son run into the cabin doors behind his wife and daughter, which led to a kitchen and dining area of the ship, with a built-in banquette fitted with table for them all to sit. Noah started the kettle for tea, while his son made sure all the animals were safely locked in their pens and enclosures. His son told his dad that he could handle it, all on his own, and that he wanted to be as brave as his father. This made Noah proud. The rest of the family got into their nice warm pajama jams, while comfortably sitting inside the ark, while the weather overnight got worse. God informed Noah that he had hid his rainbow in the clouds, and when it finally stops raining, and the sun shines bright once again, Noah is to release all the birds into the heavenly skies, indicating that he has completed the mission, diminishing all sin. Only then would God drain the floods, and Noah would restore peace back on earth. Sunrise sets, and God would not wait any longer. This was it for them, the beginning of the end. The sun does not rise. When out of the darkened black cloud, water falls from the sky. It begins to storm. The market opens their shops regardless of rainfall, believing it'll dimmer down soon. It doesn't. Severe rainfall. All day, all night. People stay inside their homes. Day 4. A state of emergency has been issued by the Kritarchy, and has been reported as national news, blaming the rain on global warming, all while asking for donations to help better the weather. Day 7. Homes are beginning to flood. Citizens are advised to move to upper levels. Canoes are being issued to upper and rich class residents only. Day 10. The rain lightens. The sun slightly peeks out behind a darkened cloud. The powerful storms become very light drizzle. This gave people hope. As soon as more people come out of their homes, waist deep in water, the light drizzle suddenly forms into a powerful storm once again. Unfortunately, it wasn't hope they needed. It was faith, as hail begins falling from the sky. It thunders, lightning, all day, all night. The rain gets heavier and heavier. Day by day, the winds pick up, and soon people scatter for their lives. By 40 days, the earth was flooded, and the ark was now sailing. Many people have died. It's dark. Many people were stranded on flooded rooftops or sitting on top of wooden doors that were floating in the floods. Most people looked devastated, miserably, calling out for help, begging for forgiveness. They should have listened. Some people were just upset that the beer store was closed due to a state of emergency. Suddenly, strong winds pick up. People scream for their lives as the water's strong current lifts people away, sending them flying off roofs or off whatever it was keeping them safe, drowning or severely injuring them until they were all dead. It's chaotic. People are defenseless, panicking, trying to grab onto anything they can, as God sends waves of fury over them. They suffocate and drown. Some people are wounded by the number of debris built up in these storms. The seals rise above rooftop levels and completely destroy everyone's homes. I bet they weren't doubting God this time. Too late for them. Who is the little bitch now? Noah is safely aboard the ark, sitting beside his beautiful wife and daughter. Blissfully, are enjoying a cup of tea. Amongst all the devastation occurring outside. All nice and warm and comfy-wumpy. Inside the cabins with a built-in fireplace. The door opens. Noah's son, wearing a wet yellow rain jacket, walks into the cabin. He alerts his father that people are trying to climb and mount and board the ark. They weren't allowed on. The weather was too heavy and powerful, and his son needed help from his father before a vicious mob of pirates made their way on board to take over the ship. Noah takes another sip of tea and tells his son not to worry, as Noah smiles as God forms another strong tidal wave on the earth and end humanity's hope for survival. God unleashed his most mightiest wrath yet. He forms small whirlpools, sucking people completely into. The sky lights up bright as mighty shocks of lightning electrocute people that were struggling to survive. The powerful ark slightly rocks back and forth as God rattles people off who are trying to hold on to part of the ship. They would die for their sins. Heaven forbid God would ever die for theirs. Noah would help God perpetuate the human race. Everyone killed was completely justified through God's action, as they were given the chance to repent and they didn't take it. Now, all their wickedness were being washed away. The chaos ends. The rain stops. Anyone who wasn't on the ark was dead. The earth had been cleansed, and throughout all the suffering, God would never suffer again by sinners. Noah and his family step out of the cabin doors. It was the dawning of a new era. A promised rainbow emerges from the darkness as the sun shines bright. It was a beautiful day. The ark is sailing at a very high sea level. Dead bodies floated everywhere in these waters, alongside damaged material, all around the sailing ark. God had instructed of Noah to release all the birds. He had done just that. Noah and his family unlock as many caged birds as they can find, clearing out an entire coop of bird species from the ark, and release them back into the wild. Some birds land on Noah's shoulders. The birds all sing, many of them fly away. The penguins salute Noah and fall backwards, off the boat and swim back to Antarctica. Unsure of if the ostriches and the chickens could swim and fly or not, he still pushed them off his ship into the flooded waters. He releases the dolphins, octopuses, and whales back into the ocean. Many animals started finding their own home. Unfortunately, the camels, giraffes, zebras, and donkeys could not. Neither could the lions, tigers, and bears. Near the end of the day, the sea levels remained high, maybe even risen somehow, and there was nowhere for them to dock. Nothing but open water and dead bodies as far as the eye can see. They sail on. They all wait, very patiently, for the Lord to drought the floods, knowing they'll walk on land once again, very soon. It shouldn't take too long. Barn of Trinkets by Michael Robin.
Your discretion is advised.